Hi, I'm Trooper Darkling and here of Crisis Darkling, and we're gonna talk about pricing your art. In uni, I was taught that there are certain things you factor into the price, such as usage of your materials, like brushes, paints, papers, canvases. For digitally, the wear and tear of your laptop and your drawing tablet, or if you work on your iPad, the wear and tear of your iPad and your pencil. And you factor percentage of the usage into your price of your artwork.
Yeah, and they're like indirect costs, and then you've got direct costs like materials, like where it costs to like make and things. But down to the wear and tear, that's a tricky one. Like when it comes to like your iPad and things, I've had my iPad like a couple of years now. One thing I've noticed about it, which I'm guessing like wear and tear, is every so often it's not reacting anymore with my my fingertips.
Yeah.
And I've got to touch my pen, and then it registers my fingertips. So I'm noticing that, and it's just some little wear and tears that go on.
Yeah.
But they're indirect costs, and I'll admit that's tricky to put into that.
It is.
But I do go more on direct costs, and I think if you make enough profit, that's where the profit comes into the whole wear and tear, where you can buy new equipment if you're making enough money.
Yeah.
So that's how I see that and that. And a lot of it is you factor in the cost, but physical artwork, it's sold per square inch or linear inch or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Normally it's like per square inch, so it's like price like land, if you you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
And you get a lot of things in books and YouTube videos where it's like price it on your time. But if you're a new artist and you're learning, and you could be at a skill level where you're pretty good but you're pretty slow, the better you get, the faster you get. But you could charge more than a real good artist who works really quick and really good if it's time based. And so it shouldn't really be time based on that. It should be. And that's the tricky thing, because like you can get underpaid at the same time when you're pricing your artworks at like per square inch or things like that. But one thing when it comes to like prints and things like that is now in business you've got to at least double your price of what it costs.
Yeah.
So if you're doing like Giclée prints, where it's the best print on the planet right now, it's the best quality. It's like a luxury brand what they offer. If they make handbags, a Giclée is the same as that. It's just top notch. And that's where you've got to find the right market, because a lot of people are not going to be spending that money on that. Or do you go like digital, where you print it off your computer but it's not the same quality, but charge a lot cheaper? But of course you have to sell a lot more to make the same amount of money. And I think prints are roughly about 3% of your income. So they're so small in that way, rather than like original art.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of photographers I see charge a lot of money, yet they're just what a lot of people think, point and shoot and that's it. And now, photographers seem to grasp that, not artists. So when an artist does limited edition, I've found it's like really, really, really cheap. Photographers, on the other hand, don't paint. They only so the only original work they can create is like limited editions.
Yeah.
And they charge a lot for it compared to like artists.
Yeah.
And I've also found that artists, like inflation's going up, and artists are not increasing prices, but the cost of living's going up. And you can find that a lot of people like won't pay like €20 or pounds, dollars, whatever on a print. But yeah, you can soon spend that in a shop on nothing.
Yeah.
You've got this thing for life. You can go into a shop and buy nothing for £20.
Yeah.
Euros, dollars, whatever. Nothing for that money. Yet you could use that up that night.
Yeah.
Whatever you bought in the shop. And, alright, I know food's a like necessity and stuff, but again, a takeaway is not a necessity. That is a luxury. In that way, you can get cheaper ways of enjoying food, but we'll happily spend whatever on a takeaway. The prices of takeaways are shooting up. Yet a print is there for life. And if it's the same price of a takeaway or whatever, that's why I don't understand like people in that way, that people will be, oh no, I don't need that, so I won't buy it. But at the same time, they'll happily spend whatever on a takeaway for that night. But as artists, when you're trying to sell that work, and especially if you're selling prints and you're a digital artist, because photographers have to sell digital prints, they can't sell originals.
No.
So that's why they've priced it quite high. In art, it's the other way. It's like, it's really cheap, but you can't earn a living from that. It's so hard. Yeah, it's so cheap. And how do you live off that? But yet you've got a limited edition print, that's something that's rare, but yet people are reluctant to buy that. And again, whether art or not is like different, because like you see an artwork outright as a screen, and what's to stop them screenshotting something that they really like? A product, when you shop online, you don't screenshot it and you don't own the product. You don't take a screenshot of the product that you want. No. You want the product. So I think that's why it comes to that. So is it, to do, again, related to money in that way, is it that we've got to photograph our art in a different way, more than just slap your copyright over it? Have you just got to photograph it on an angle on the wall, so it's more of a product that you see online, rather than the outright flat image that you see in your posts online on social media and your websites? Because they can screenshot that and happily like keep that. But what is it with art with that? And again, I think that's a cultural thing where people, some countries are different. Where we're from, a lot of people like are not into that. They'll love the artist, but maybe they'll just screenshot. But something else, so if there's a bag that they want for that same price, they'll buy it. They won't screenshot it because it doesn't make sense. So I think like that's a lot of struggles with that with artists. But at the same time, we've got to earn a living from that. Yeah. But the price of inflation, art prices are not going up, I've noticed. They're just not going up. And then you've got shrinkflation. Yeah. So with chocolate bars and a lot of things like that, and everything's going on now. And it's been going on for years. And I've noticed for years, like, chocolate bars are shrinking. And some people, like, see it, some people don't. And there was on the news on about, like, shrinkflation, and people are like, oh, yeah, I think they're getting smaller. And I'm thinking, you think they're getting smaller? They're not. And that's a business thing, because in business, you either up your prices or cut your costs. Yeah. So what they're really doing with shrinkflation is they're cutting the costs by making the bar smaller or offering less bars in a pack. Yeah. That's what they're doing. It's pure business what they're doing. Mm-hmm. All right, I know supplies are going up, and that's their excuse apparently. They're saying that supplies are going up. But why not keep the value? Because what people do want is value for money. Yeah. And why don't they just keep the amount of chocolate bars in that pack, or keep that size, and just increase the price? Rather than increase the price, they're cutting the actual what you're getting for your value. Yeah. And they're getting away with it. And a lot of businesses don't work like that, because people in this day and age want more value for the money. But of course they know people are always going to buy chocolate bars and this and that, and that's how they get away with it. Yeah. Yet, as a small business, if we do that and cut whatever but kept the price, like, people probably be on your back about it.
Yeah, and it's like this quote that I saw. If McDonald's messes up your order, you'll still go back to them. But if a small business makes a mistake, they never live it down.
Yeah. And it's there on reviews. Yeah. And when you look at big companies like Etsy, they're famous for shutting people down for no reason. They do what they want. They've got a monopoly on it. They've got that much of a monopoly on it that you got the UK version. Yeah. But nobody touches it because you can't get anything on it. So Etsy have got this monopoly on it, but yet they can do what they want with that. Mm-hmm. And either way, they get money from your listings anyway, whether you sell or not. Yeah. That's their core business, that they just always get money coming in. And good for them, to their advantage, when they've got like top people that just sell, and they've been there all along and they support them. But they treat people like crap, normally. Like what you just said there, that if you was a company, if you owned Etsy, would you really want that reputation? No. But how are they getting away with it? And the same with Amazon. they're so massive, but yet I'm noticing a decline in the delivery service with them.
No.
And they're getting worse and worse and worse with it. But people will always just go to them because what other option is there? There's a monopoly.
Yeah.
Trouble is with the artists, it's all down to taste and this and that. A different place altogether, and that's where you fight for your money in that way.
Definitely.
So same with like musicians again, like they're putting more value into things like because a lot of things like are downloaded now, but up and coming bands now will like sign albums and they'll spend a day signing thousands of all the orders that they've got from vinyls and CDs and things, and they're going more like retro with things, but they're putting that. And alright, there's collectors now. It's gone back to like vinyl collectors and stuff. But they're pouring that value into it. They're giving and giving and giving and giving the time. And why is it that you got two ends of the business spectrum where you've got like big companies cutting and cutting for the profit? Because at the end of the day, that's what it's about. You either up your prices or lower your costs.
Yeah.
So these chocolate companies are lowering the costs rather than upping the prices because they're keeping the prices.
Yeah.
You've got things like bands where they're adding value. They're working for it. They're working more for it.
Yeah.
But the prices aren't really going up in that way. Like buying a vinyl, or you can get like a special edition or something that might cost more, or the normal edition, whatever it is that's less, and there's different options with that. But they're adding value to it. Mm-hmm. And when you start a business up, and when you read any business, anybody out there who's like trying to start a business up, it's always about this add value of your competitors. And this is why I think they're getting lazy, these monopoly companies, where, oh, we're so big that we're just going to cut our like costs in that way, and you're suffering because you're not getting as much value. Mm-hmm. And what if we all boycott? Yeah. What if we all boycott? Have we ever thought about that?
Yeah.
Because when it comes to prices, you've got train drivers doing it, bin truck drivers, everything. The bin men and stuff like that. You've got all these industries going on strike all of a sudden. Because they've got this normal job, but their campaign is the cost of living is not matching, and that their wages don't match over the years that, oh, we should be this now, and it's not rising with inflation. So they go on strike. But they take effect on so many ordinary people's lives. And a lot of people support it all. Up until a point, though, because, like, train drivers in the UK, I've noticed, like, now people are going against them. We get nurses go on strike, and people have got respect for that. And, oh, yeah, they deserve more. And that's where the point is inflation. It's not rising with inflation. But they could have been overpaid. Like, train drivers get a lot of money. Now, they could have been overpaid 5 years ago for what inflation was back then. They want inflation and this and that. Mm-hmm. They're only going by that, oh, yeah, well, our wages haven't gone up in 5 years. So, therefore, it's not going up with inflation. But also say that you weren't overpaid back then, because when I was at school, train drivers was on a lot of money then.
Yeah.
And that was way back then. So, also say that actually you weren't overpaid back then. Is it that they've got to tighten their own belts? They just got used to it.
Yeah.
And why is it they're not getting paid more? Because the money's not coming there. Because money comes from what? The train tickets and this and that. Mm-hmm. So if they're not getting paid, it's like the football industry. Mm-hmm. And that Alan Sugar, who owned a football stadium at one point, said the same. I've never known in business anything run like it. That you've got normal people like cleaners in the stadiums that get paid normal wages, and you've got the footballers where 95% of the money of the business goes on the wages. No business on the planet gives 95% in wages. And footballers are overpaid, or it comes from demand from the tickets. Mm-hmm. But when it came to COVID times, and cleaners was from football stadiums was laid off. And that's where I think, like, sometimes is it that people like train drivers was overpaid 5 years ago?
Yeah.
They're just comparing it to this, oh yeah, we haven't had a pay rise in 5 years and it's not gone in line with inflation. Is it just that the train companies are just adjusting it for us to pay to that point that actually now you're probably on what you should be worth in that way? So as an artist, it's just not going up. When you go back to art, and I know art is not a necessity, but it's something that you do buy and you live with, and you've got it for life. It's not like a takeaway where you just, you gobble it up in one night and that's it, it's gone. Or the expensive train tickets that we all pay that is just for the trip and that's it, it's gone.
Yeah.
So the prices are shooting up fast. And the money with art, it's got to go up. Like, surely art is undercharging.
Yeah.
Because, you know, like last podcast, I was on about photographers who would, like, charge a lot of money compared to artists. And it's so different between photographers who click a camera. And I know it's not as simple as that, but they don't paint. Yet an artist can paint things, do a limited edition, and sell it for, like, £30. For that size, a photographer would charge, like, £300. That's the difference.
Yeah.
Like, photographers seem to grasp the old art is rare, limited editions are rare, and they've got the fan base for it.
Yeah.
But what is it about art? I don't know. It's just this undercharging thing. And again, how many times we've got messages where, oh yeah, draw me for free.
Yeah.
And it's like, it is our job. But yet that same person will probably have a meal at a restaurant and happily pay a tip to somebody that's already getting paid for what they're doing. For doing what? No disrespect to, like, people with, like, waiters and things like that, but they're doing a job. They're getting paid anyway.
Yeah.
And it's expected that you give, like, 10, 20% of the bill as a tip.
Yeah.
And the same, a gas fitter can come along, do something to your house, and I've known people happily pay £100 tip for them. But when it comes to my artwork, they're reluctant to pay me 40 for a month's work.
Yeah.
That's I don't get it. I don't get that. We've got to live as well.
Exactly.
And if you want a service, and art is, in a way, and I don't mean to sound like egotistical, but art is like a form of magic. You're creating something from nothing. You're creating something. So people want these services and they want it cheap and this and that. When it comes to commissions, the average commission, I don't know, is like, what, £20, euros, this and that, whatever. But at the end of it, why is that still so cheap when people can pay that in a tip, no messing, to a restaurant?
Yeah.
And it's probably these same people.
Yeah.
And a taxi driver, again. A taxi driver can drive you for a few minutes and it's expected that you give a tip.
Yeah.
And that's normal. That's never questioned. But yet, when you're doing art, oh, how dare you charge me? I want it for free.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, a taxi driver can take you somewhere for, like, what? And the cost would be like £10. And you've got to give a couple of quid tip out of that. You've got to add that 20% on top. So you've got to give them £12 out of that, what would have been 10.
Yeah.
And that trip is probably literally a 10-minute drive itself. Because where I live, it's usually roughly that per minute sort of thing, the way, like, how it is here.
Yeah.
So for a 10-minute drive, you've got to give £2 in that way. But with that, and that's what I don't get with art, with the pricing with art and everything, that people won't, they just won't pay.
No.
But yet nobody tips a bus driver. Like, what's the difference?
No, exactly.
I don't get this hidden social rule that we've got to tip waiters and taxi drivers. But yet an artist is expected to work for free. And it's already a struggle selling your prints.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it definitely is. So, yeah, when we were in Berlin this year, I noticed something with the taxi driver. And it was €15 or something like that. Or, yeah, no, sorry, it was €12. And then he said, oh, it's €12. But then I saw him punch in 15. He gave himself a €3 tip without checking with us. And I know in Germany there's like a big tip culture, so of course we would like give extra. But where in the Netherlands and in the UK, I think it's a bit rude from our cultural perspectives to just give yourself a tip, decide like, nah, €3, that'll do.
Again, what if, like, we didn't have the rest of that on the card? They just
Exactly.
help themselves, and it's just rude how they just automatically help themselves to a tip.
I think that's wrong, personally. But that's why I also don't get, like, art prices. So, an established artist, and I don't mean, like, the really big names that everyone's heard of, like Banksy or something, so I'm not talking about millions, but I'm talking about, like, the people who are known from, like, Instagram or TikTok and those things, who ask, like, $400 or something, euros, pounds, whatever, for a painting, an original painting. Then you look on their websites and it's all sold out. Well, a smaller artist who is charging like €6 for like an A5 print, which does not even cover the cost of living when you sell like 100 of them.
Or probably the time that it's spent making the art.
Exactly. Doesn't sell.
But there's no tip culture as well with an artist.
No, there isn't.
Like, you commission somebody and nobody's like, oh yeah, I'll give you a few quid tip a year. So I don't get that culture in that way.
What I've also noticed is that there's a few tattoo artists I follow, and I got quite a few tattoos, and I never tip my tattoo artist. But what I see a lot on Instagram stories is that the clients of the tattoo artist, they show up with gifts for them. Like, let's say a tattoo artist is a fan of Star Wars, they give the Star Wars figurine on top of the money they paid the tattoo artist. And I'm like, why? That is bizarre to me.
And again, the culture that we live in, this tattoo culture, that when it comes to art, the one thing that dominates is tattoos, and tattoos are expensive.
Yep.
And if you look at the price of a tattoo and compare that to an artwork, tattooists are on a lot of money.
Definitely.
But the stencil things as well, and like, people have got this thing, oh yeah, they're brilliant at shading, but the tools also do it. And don't get me wrong, of course it's a skill. Mm-hmm. Don't get me wrong on that. But a lot of people have got this misconception that I think people think they shade it with a needle.
Yeah.
They don't realise the needle does the shading for them.
Yeah.
It's just knowing how to use the tool, there's a skill.
Yeah.
So don't mix up that on that what I'm saying. But I think that where people admire them in that way, that, oh, that's really hard. But yeah, when it comes to art, again, it's that. But again, people would tip a tattoo artist, even though it's like a lot of money. Mm-hmm. But what you get on your skin, compare that to a print size or an artwork at the same time. Yeah. Now, tattoos fade.
Yeah.
An artwork done, and a lot of Giga prints now that will outlive you or like buys the print.
Yeah.
Yet tattoos fade.
Yeah.
And to the point of, after 3 months, they start fading. Mm-hmm. They're no longer like crisp, sharp, and why are we in that culture where we want that on our body and we'll pay this, but yet on our walls, we won't?
I also noticed, like, I recently started getting my nails done with acrylics, and my fiance was so sweet to, like, get me my first set ever, because I've wanted that for a very long time, and finally got the money to do so, and yeah, and I like it, so I'm keeping on top of it. But I've also noticed that a lot of people tip their nail artists, even though, like, I should say nail techs, nail techs. So the girl I go to is brilliant. She does amazing nail art, and she's an amazing nail tech. But she gets tipped as well, while her prices are quite decent. Don't get me wrong, she deserves the cost of living. She deserves it like everyone else does. But I just don't understand, like, that you pay a lot extra on top of that, because tip culture is a bit foreign to us. So I also saw this reel once, and it said something about an American nail tech, and it said something along the lines of, making money off my nails, of doing nails, is amazing, but I'm doing it for the baddies who tip me like $100. And I'm like, I'm sorry, what? $100? But nails, you can lose a nail with acrylics. You can lose one. And they outgrow after 4 weeks, 5 weeks, depending on how fast your nails grow.
You gotta top them up.
You gotta redo them. For me, it's 3 to 4 weeks. So it's quite short-lived. And then I pay, I'm just gonna say it, I pay like between 60 and 70 for them. That's temporary. But a print, whether it's digital or giclée, it can vary between like €6 to like 50, just to say on average, because it depends on the size of it. And people are a bit like, yeah.
But giclée costs a lot of money for an artist to print as well.
Exactly. And that's
to the point that we would struggle to double the price, which in business you should do anyway.
No, but that's exactly my point. Like, I have a printer that makes brilliant digital prints, and I also sell a few giclées for our dinosaur business. But for my own personal art, I do digital prints. Because for me that's more side hustle, like my personal art, than because I focus more on the businesses, like the dinosaur business, for example. I focus more on that, but my own art is like a side hustle, so I do my own digital prints. My most expensive digital print in my shop is $12.95, and that's free shipping as well. And that's absolutely nothing. And then I'm thinking to myself, okay, you get a pretty cool print, printed on high quality paper, with deep tones, because I got one of those fancy printers for graphic designers. And then people struggle with that, while a tattoo or your nails, they just willy-nilly give their money to it, like no second thought. That just baffles me, because like a tattoo, I have tattoos myself, so you know, and I love them and I want to get more of them, but like what my fiance said, they fade over time. Very true, very accurate, can't argue with that. They fade over time, fact. Nails outgrow. And then you got a print that lasts forever, that will spruce up your home. That could be like the final touch in your bedroom or your living room or your office. Something that gives your space character. And then you ask $12.95 for it, and people are a bit like, I don't know. And that baffles me. Same with like, I don't know if they still exist, but we used to have these hairdressers, kinkies. And my cousin once went there with her mom, with my auntie, and my cousin got her hair colored and cut, and my auntie just got her hair cut. That was €600. My auntie was like, excuse me, what? It's like, yeah, it's €600. She's like, couldn't you have told me the prices beforehand? And I'm like, wow. Where I get my hair cut, it's like €30 max. Of course, you need to do it every so often. Like, I'm lazy for it. I go once every few years. Because I'm lazy for it. But if you keep on top of it, if you have like a certain, your hair cut in a certain way, then you need to keep on top of it. And then, you know, that accumulates and costs quite a lot. But that's $600 just for a color and 2 cuts. I was like, how? And my auntie, is as good as she is, like, she paid it. She was like, yeah, you know what? This is what it is. And I don't get that attitude. Like, you pay that for your hair that's gonna look different the next day after you slept on it.
Yeah.
You pay $600 for that, but a print for less than 20, less than 15 even, is like, ooh, I don't know, let me reach deep into my pockets, I don't know.
Yeah.
And I don't get that.
So again, like, again, back to the nail art. So I remember, like, when we was friends and we first got together, but of course we was so new at the time in our friendship that we were so strangers at that point. And I've been messed about as well at the time. Or I trusted you back then. I didn't doubt that. But there was that print that you wanted to buy. But you're different because you support people. So there's a print at the time that was like £80 that I was charging. What I didn't tell you at the time was I want to charge you that. It was just that we were so new at the time. It was just that seeing like, is somebody really serious about this?
Yeah.
but then somebody from your family was a bit,
Yep.
oh, that's a bit pricey, innit? Yeah, look at your nails. It's roughly that price now.
Exactly.
That outgrows that you've got to top up every so many weeks.
Yep.
So it's not just the outright cost of the nail that is similar to the print price that I was charging. You've got to get it topped up all the time.
Yep.
You've got to keep on top of it. And the same with like hairdressers and things like that. That they charge a lot of money. That, yeah, your mum questioned that back then.
Yep.
And yeah, your nails, she didn't.
No.
And that does in a way baffle me.
Yeah.
In some ways, what is it with art in that way? The value, but I think I think it's how people are brought up.
Oh, definitely. And seriously, even if you would have gifted me that print, I would still send you money for it because you deserve that. And I am very, very supportive of small businesses. I got jewelry from small businesses. I got clothing from small businesses and stuff like that.
But the thing was with that print is that it was just double the costs. So the printers was making £40 off my art in that way, and I just double the price.
Yeah.
So it was 80. So I was making as much money off them, but all they're doing is printing it. Or I know they've got the costs as well.
Yeah.
But I'm earning the same money as in that way in the printers. Yeah, I'm the one who created the artwork itself, and that's what I mean. But yet, what are going to be the costs with nail art in that way?
Yeah.
Like, is it really going to be half the price of that? I know they're going to pay themselves the time and labour as well on top of that.
Definitely.
I know there's going to be a lot of costs into it, and I guess a lot of the things that they get is expensive.
Yeah.
But when they buy things in the bottle, how many people can they get out of that bottle?
Yeah.
Of whatever they've done? And I guess like, obviously like a proportion of whatever they use out of that bottle that they use on you or whatever comes out of that. So all right, there might be this little bottle that they buy, and it might do 4 clients, and that bottle, I don't know, might cost them like £40.
Yeah.
So it's like a tenner a time for them in costs.
Yeah.
So I understand them things, you know what I mean? But the point is people will happily pay that.
Yeah.
Yet when it comes to a printer, it's roughly the similar price, that it's a one-off that lasts a lifetime. It's like, oh, that's a bit pricey.
Exactly.
But not once is it ever questioned about your nails. No. Even though they've got to get topped up. You've got to get them redone every so often.
And what I also don't get is like, my fiance made this brilliant painting of a Tyrannosaurus skull. It's gorgeous. And it's on roughly A3 size. And we charge €190 for it. For our dinosaur business. And just, to check what a non-artist person would think. Because 190 is quite cheap. It's quite cheap for an original painting of that size as well. But we were curious to see what a non-artist would pay for it or think it's worth.
Yeah, I forgot about this, remember.
So we asked my mom, what do you think it's worth or could charge for it? And she looked at it, she was like, I don't know, 70 maybe? And that's where I'm like, oh no.
And yet that's roughly the price of your nails.
Exactly. And I was like, oh, that hurts to hear.
Yeah, I forgot about that, but good point. It's that value, that perception that people have got on it, that people are forgetting art is in a way magic. In that way, it's you're creating things. It's not easy to do, and that's why is it not valued more? And when I've gone to Germany, or where I've gone before, if I say I'm an artist here, I look like people look at it, oh, trash. That's trash.
Yeah.
When I was in Germany before, and when people knew I was an artist, it was like, oh, and they valued it, and it was like, oh, yeah, you're an artist, and it's a cultural difference sort of thing. But again,
Definitely.
in Germany, Berlin's cultural and different world to where I'm from.
Yeah.
But especially where I live, it's just art is not valued, and a lot of places, I think, as well.
True, and in the Netherlands where I live, in my city Tilburg, we got a lot of festivals regarding art. When we say that we're artists, we get praise for it. However, we don't get enough praise that people want to buy it. We just get the praise of, oh, that's cool. Tell me something about it. And we do. And then when we say prices and stuff, they're like, ooh, no.
That's one thing I've found. Like, whether it's hairdressers or nail artists, people just buy, accept, or whether it's a taxi driver, people are willing to pay more and tip.
Yeah.
But what is it with art? I've noticed that you get judged on your prices. You get told, oh, that's steep.
Yeah.
Even down to that print that you was going to buy, it was still that judge from some family member that, oh, that's a bit pricey.
Yeah.
And yet, pricey, I mean, the same as the printers. And it's my artwork.
Exactly.
But in business, you've got to at least double your price. You've got to.
Yeah.
You can't make less money than your suppliers.
No.
In that way, it just doesn't make sense, especially when you're a small business.
Yeah.
You're not a supermarket, you know what I mean? You don't buy in bulk in that way.
No. And that's where, like, I support a lot of small businesses. I got, like, a tote bag and a few prints and stickers. No, one print and a few stickers from, forgive me for saying this name, but that's what she's called online, the Cosmic Slut. I love her artwork. She makes really cool alien things and stuff. Got a few things from her. I got a resin crystal necklace from Dark Magic Designs that my fiance bought for me. Amazing, love it, wear it almost every day. I got this choker from Jane Nevermore, a Dutch artist who makes chokers with resin pieces and spikes and stuff. Absolutely adore it. I bought a ring for my fiance from Timeless by Tom with a real dinosaur, Spinosaurus teeth in it. Amazing, absolutely amazing. And I can go on like that. And I think when you're an artist yourself and you run a small business, you value that more because you know how tough it is to be in that situation. And on top of that, you look at their prices and think, I get it. I get why you're charging that. You're not like, oh, that's steep. No, because you consider the effort, the labor, the time they spend designing it, the time they spend making it. You just get it. Where someone who doesn't create art, oh, oof, $12.95 for digital print, A4. Ooh, oh no, that's too much. They don't get it. And that makes me quite sad because it is hard to sell to another artist because they create art themselves. So they think, oh, I can do that, but more me. I can create the same thing, but more me. If I want something like that on my walls. And that just saddens me.
And that's why I'm a bit, I don't mean it in a tight way, but like I don't get the tip culture. I don't get why a gas man can come to your house and you can tip him £100.
Yeah.
Or somebody that does your fencing. And a taxi driver, again, can earn a few quid from a taxi ride, or a waiter or waitress can serve you a meal. They're all getting paid for what they're doing anyway.
Yeah.
I just don't get this tip culture, why so many industries have got a tip culture. I don't get it. And that's why I do look at it as an artist, and I don't mean it in a greedy way, but I do think, why should I tip in a way? And it's the same with charities. So many people won't buy anything with businesses, but happily give to charity without doing the research into the charity. But because it's charity, suddenly people have got the money and they're generous about it.
Yep.
That's something else I've seen.
Exactly.
That's something else I've seen. And I tell you now, people are so brainwashed with charity that if we were to say 50% of or whatever percentage would go to whatever, you'll get sales.
Yeah.
What people don't realise is a lot of businesses use that as well. That it'll go to charity on this, and they don't realise the little that will go to charity. They're using it for their own. And I'm sorry, it sounds harsh, I know, but it's a fact that they use charities to profit themselves, and then the money that goes to charity, you've got to be careful again, because people will just happily give to charity, no messing. And this is why we're now, especially where I'm from in in UK will just live this charity culture.
Yeah.
And people will just give the money like no tomorrow to charities.
Yeah.
But business, it's like, why do I need that? Why do I need this? And I get when something is not like art is not a necessity. But people literally question, oh, why do I need that? And you've got people on YouTube saying that. Oh, why do I need this though? Down to anything, not just art, but
Yeah.
They start saving the money thinking, oh, why do I need this? But yet they'll happily post how they just give whatever to charity.
Yeah.
And you've got to be careful with charity because there's a difference between 100% of your donation goes to charity, and there's a difference between 100% of the profit that goes to charity.
Yeah.
Because when it's 100% of the profit, it means after some rich top guy running the charity gets a massive wage, and that's classed as expenses. And what's left after all the running costs and this and that, you'll probably find nothing really much goes to the charity.
Yeah.
And a lot of charities out there's a lot of them where 95% of the money goes to the people that run it.
Yeah.
And it's no secret out there and people don't realise it. And it gets me mad how people just happily give the money to charity because it sounds good, looks good, whatever it is. But yet business, people question, oh, why do I need to buy that? Even though they want the item.
Yeah.
They'll question it. But what do you get out of charity? You don't get really anything back apart from that feel-good feeling. Actually, you're probably being ripped off.
Yeah.
And it's just that culture. At least with art, you're getting something for your money on that.
I want to add about charity. When I was looking for work, when I thought that maybe I could do a regular job, I was on this job seeker site, and one of them was calling people for charity, see if they want to donate anything. And I was looking at like telephone jobs and chat jobs for like long distance, because I'm in a long distance relationship, so I could like work in England as well from a laptop or from my phone. So I was just reading the descriptions, and the description for the charity one, well, I was shocked. I was absolutely baffled. It literally said, you're a sociable person, which I'm not. I'm very shy and introverted. It said, you're a sociable person and you know how to tug on people's heartstrings. And I'm just like, are you kidding me? That's so brazen. That is disgusting. And I read the description and I was just, I couldn't deal with it. I thought to myself, who can do this? That is dark.
Yeah. And you've got the people, like, in the streets, like, you're walking to, like, town, like, where I am and stuff like that, and you've got, like, a lot of charity campaigners and stuff like that, and they'll approach you and, like, oh, how are you, my friend, and this and that.
Yeah.
And, of course, they get a commission if they draw you in.
Yeah.
And, obviously, there you are, you donate your money to charity if you sign up to them, but, of course, they get not only paid what they're doing, but they get a commission, obviously, if they draw somebody in.
Yeah.
So that's why they're really fighting for you, because it's their equivalent of like a tip sort of thing.
Yeah.
Or you've got the people on the doorstep. Now, we've got on our door that we don't do any cold calling.
Yeah.
But still, they'll knock on the door, so you answer it, and there it is. And I remember this deaf charity. And my mum's passed away, and she was deaf when she was alive. She was a deaf person herself, and so I listened to him for that reason, but again, cold calling.
Yeah.
But I opened the door and he was like talking to me, and I knew all the tricks that they do. My friend, this and that, or whatever. But I heard him out, and he was like, "Oh no, we're not asking any. What was it? We're not asking for any cash out like that. No." So I heard him out, but that's where I fell for it. Not asking for any cash meant here and now on the doorstep.
Yeah.
That's what he really meant by the end of it.
Yeah.
So I realised by the end of it, that's what he meant, because in the end, when they thought I was going to sign up to it, then it was going to be like £12 a month.
Jesus.
So and they know what they're doing. And you fall for it in a way, because it's like, oh, there's no cash. Because you hear that, you think that there's no money. It's just more of sign up and it's free and it's educational sort of thing, whatever. And the way he was talking to me, and So, and he was like, and I said to myself, I said, well, my mum was deaf. She's passed now, but she was deaf myself. So I've got like an interest in like, obviously like deaf charities and things. And he was so friendly, but again, that you can tell they're doing a job.
Yeah.
And he's waffling on about this and that. And then he asked for my email. Well, I was reluctant. I didn't want to sign up. But I gave it, and I thought, but there's where they're good at the pressure.
Yeah.
They're good at what they're doing. I gave him my email and then some other details or whatever, and then after that he went, right, that'll be £12 a month. Then he was asking for my bank details. I went, oh no. I says, no, I thought it was no cash and I fell for it, nah.
Yeah.
Oh, and he was fuming. He was nice as pie. The minute I didn't want to know, and because I wasted his time in his eyes, oh, so rude.
Yeah.
Yet working for a charity. And he was like, oh, right, oh, okay, fine. And just walked off. And again, how they just changed. That's not professional. Not that any understanding. And I thought, wait a minute, you're playing tactics with me for money. I'm doing a business and I struggle for money. Yeah. You're getting paid for what you're doing. You just want this commission from me. That's all you're bothered about. And that's why as an artist, your passion is your job. Your friendliness is your job.
Yeah.
You are who you are. And that's why I can't work for a company where you've got to be as false as God knows what to be whatever for money. And I know people have got to earn a living, I get that, but that's why, again, the pressure when you're on job seekers and you're looking for a job and the government are like, just take any job. I've got morals at the same time, and they forget that people have got morals. And that's why the job I do, I love what I do, and that's why it gets me sad that artists don't get tips, they don't get this. Not that they expect tips, it's never about tips.
No.
We're just on about this in comparison, but you just don't get paid for what you do in that way. And it's not that we do it for the money. It's just we're doing this and we're creating it. It's just that it just happens that society looks at it that people literally want something for free if it's a commission or the value of art itself, even though it's something for life. And yet a lot of people are into collectibles.
Yep.
So as an artist, like you can release like a load like editions of prints and there can be collectibles.
Yeah.
And if you are passionate about an artist, they're not famous, but they might be up and coming.
Yeah.
But people do the same thing with bands. There'll be people out there that love absolute top famous bands, but also follow up and coming, unknown, and they're the bands that they follow. That they're the ones that sound when they have a new album out, and they're nobodies. And people will follow them and support them. Yeah. So same with music. Music's valued in a different way to like visual art.
Yeah.
In that way, because like there'll be nobodies, and because the sound this people want it, and to them they're famous in their eyes. So when they get a sound like vinyl from this up and coming band, they almost get this starstruck feeling when it comes through the post and they've got it.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. I don't know what it is with visual art. It's just an industry that I don't advise anyone going in. When you're stuck with it as your career and it's your passion, like what else are you to do but push through and find a way?
Exactly.
And that's why I think we're putting that out there on people. And if people relate to that, and you've got other jobs out there that just get well-paying jobs, and I've noticed all the jobs that are going on strike lately are all well-paying. They're not exactly skin. But, again, people support, just like they support tips.
Yep.
People out there are on tons of money, $5,000 a month, 5,000 a month, and they're going on strike. And that's how train drivers.
Yeah.
And they can do strikes, and people support it.
So that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to follow us on socials, you can find us on Instagram under the handles Art by Darkling and Mrs. Darkling Art. And the same handles on our Weebly site /web shop. And hopefully we get to have you in another episode. Thank you so much for listening.